Hi, everyone. It's me, Krylios, Team Racing Productions MC and producer. And welcome, Maya Contreras.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. It's so great to have you here. How are you?
I'm very good, actually. I've had my caffeine, so I'm ready to go.
Awesome. Well, I want to start this off with just having you talk a little bit about yourself by introducing yourself to our audience and
Sure.
letting us know a little bit about your background and experience.
Sure. Well, my name's Maya Contreras, and I'm actually running for Congress at obviously at the congressional level, not at the Senate level. I'm running as a House
Mhm.
representative for New York 12. A lot of people are like, "You're running for Senate?" I'm like, "I am not. I'm running for a House seat, New York District 12." I've been a lifelong housing advocate, actually. And then in 2013, when the VRA, when the Voting Rights Act was gutted by SCOTUS, I
Mhm.
became a voting rights advocate.
Wow.
So I have had decades of experience in working within housing, and then in this last decade with voting. I've worked with shelter systems in Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, New York City, trying to move people away from shelter system into permanent housing and to
Mhm.
find better and deeper investments in permanent housing. I have testified in the New York State Senate in, for the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, not for the federal level one, for the state level one, because at state level, we
Mhm.
still need voting rights protections. So that's just a tiny bit about me. There's a lot more about we can get into it.
Yes, certainly. So you've moved from advocacy now, and has just thrown your hat in the ring, for representational politics. So tell me, why this time? Why now?
Honestly, I never, ever wanted to run for office. I really want people to understand that. Somewhere between the 2008 explosion of our economic system,
Mhm.
then Trump getting elected,
Mhm.
and then I would say COVID, I just saw more and more people in my community, me and my husband too, continually drowning in a very tough economic system. Opportunities were becoming less and less. Housing, affordable housing became further out of reach. Groceries were getting more expensive for people. I mean, people are talking about inflation now, but these are issues people have been dealing with for decades now. So to me, I got really tired of people who were currently serving that have been wealthy their entire lives, that don't know what it's like to be on SNAP, who have never been on any government assistance program. Um, they're drafting our laws. So I kind of really started seeing what was the weakest link. And what I saw was the weakest link was at our federal level. They were willing to give massive subsidies to multimillionaire and billionaires, but somehow were not willing to do that for those in poverty. Strings were attached to it if you're poor. How you can use your EBT card. You can use it for this, but not for hot food. You can use it for this. These aren't the same things that they do for the very wealthy. So I got sick of it. And I thought, well, at the very least, I could add to the conversation by running for office. I'm someone that grew up on SNAP. I grew up unhoused. I lived in a storage facility for a short time with my family after we were evicted when I was a child. So I know what that feels like to deal with that. Almost everybody almost every person in Congress right now has never had that experience. So lived experience does count as well.
Certainly, and I'm sure these lived experiences, of course, have influenced, what you would like to carry influence and make an impact on if you were elected to this role, to the 12th Congressional District. So talk me through, maybe your top three issues that you'd really love to tackle if elected.
Well, I'm always going to say voting is the first one because
Hmm.
I mean, we could even see that it was a anniversary of Selma, the 57th anniversary of Selma, and you could see that less and less people kind of interested in hearing about that issue. It really didn't even trend on Twitter. And to me, any single issue that we care about, whether it's environmental issues or housing issues or the minimum wage, this is all connected to
Hmm.
voting rights. It all begins in the ballot box because it's telling you who are you electing, who are you getting in there, how are your districts being redrawn. So to me, I'm always going to say voting is the number one thing. The second thing I will say poverty. I think that we do not discuss poverty enough in this country. It's an issue that I think think a lot of our representatives don't understand. They don't understand that with poverty, violence is tied with poverty. When we're talking about gun violence and these issues, or interpersonal violence at the home, people are like, oh, well, that's just a mental health issue. I said, it's not just a mental health issue. Studies have shown that people that live in deep poverty are dealing with anxiety and panic disorder, and violence can occur from that. That is not a person problem. That is a policy problem. So I want people to understand that those are the things that I care about. I would say as a third issue, oof, that would be really tough to say. No, that's John. You see John right there. Well, so
Yeah.
there you go. Then I would say housing. So John, I just talked to John yesterday. I have a new picture with John. Someone just gave him some new clothes. John lives in my neighborhood. He's unhoused. He doesn't want to live in the shelter system because the shelter system in New York is not great. There can be rancid food. There's also, it's inaccessible. I have two friends that actually live in the shelters right now. One of them is a wheelchair user, and she couldn't even get into the bathroom with her wheelchair. Another person, she almost broke her neck in the shower because there was an inaccessible seat for her to sit on. So she fell off that. So I massively care about housing issues because home is where safety is. And sometimes homes are where safety is not, right? So if we're living in housing and public housing care, chances are you have a sink that's broken, a toilet that's broken, there's lead in the walls. So home can also be a very stressful situation. But we want to create homes that have a feeling of safety, that after you've had a rough time in the world, you can come home and feel comforted. That's something that I deeply care about. So I'd say those are the three issues, but they're all connected to each other.
Certainly. For anyone wondering or just not quite clear, tell me what neighborhoods or areas are covered by the 12th Congressional District, and tell me your favorite thing about the area.
Oh, sure. Well, so the 12th district covers about 800,000 people at this moment. And so it's a little bit of Lower East Side. A tiny bit of Alphabet City is where I live. Upper East Side, Roosevelt Island. It goes over to the West Side past Central Park. It goes a little bit into Queens, Long Island City, Queensbridge, and Greenpoint as far as Brooklyn is concerned. So it does cover three boroughs, but barely covers the borough of Queens and Brooklyn at this point. But it does encompass about 800,000 people. The favorite thing about my district really is going to be art and artists. There we go.
I love that.
We have at least 200,000 artists that live in New York City. And to me, I know that it's even more than that because I consider artists people that study their craft. So that can be nail artists, that can be tattoo artists, that can be welders. And so to me, that's what makes New York interesting. But we're not helping artists in the way that we need to. Right there, that's me at the Charest protest, speaking of art. That was a building that was a public building that a lot of artists in the 70s used. It was started by about 5 Latino men, specifically Puerto Rican men, who wanted it to be an art space, a place to talk about environmental issues. The Black Panthers used it as well. And then the city basically seized it back after the Giuliani administration. Now they lapsed in payment, so now it could go back to the public. So I'm advocating for that building, which is 130,000 square feet, for it to go back into the public hands so that once again, it can be utilized for our neighborhood.
Oh God, I love that. And that is so important that the neighborhood is able to, have this space, have these resources to really be able to utilize it, to their best abilities. Tell me, why are you the best choice for voters come election day?
Well, I will say that I actually have lived in the district. The other people that are running, one guy that's running, he's barely in the district. Another girl that's running has been in California the past couple of years. I think she just qualifies for the 2 years to run for Congress or to be in your city that you're running in. Maloney, of course, lives in the district, but she lives in the wealthiest part of the district. So I actually know the district really well. I know what people want and what people are looking for as far as policy is concerned. I have nothing personal against Maloney. This is not personal. This is policy. We have a lot of environmental racism in this area. And I live in a historically redlined neighborhood. And she introduced her very first anti-racist environmental legislation in 30 years. She has never done it before. And it's because I've been calling her out last year about it. I said, listen, we have issues with sewage treatment plants, with the Con Ed buildings, with lead and nitrogen walls, but yet there's no environmental legislation that she's ever introduced. That's the easiest thing for her to try to do, and she hasn't done it. So I would say that is why I'm the best person. And as far as like disability issues are concerned, she's supported good policies, but she hasn't introduced things to help the disability community, from modernizing SSI to eradicating the marriage penalty for SSI, which means if you are both disabled collecting SSI, you will lose it because you have $2,000 or more in assets. So then you both are no longer eligible for SSI, which is devastating for families that are disabled and are living on this very tiny amount of money. So these are things that Maloney has basically ignored. So that is why I'm the best. I would also say that for the other people that are running, they barely talk about disability. That's 1/4 of all New Yorkers, that are in the disability community. How are you ignoring 1/4 of your constituents? So I would say that is just a few of the reasons why I would be the best person for this office.
Perfect. When does voting begin, actually?
So actually in June, we have early voting that begins June 18th, and I believe that runs to June 25th. And then the actual day of voting is going to be June 28th. I think I have that right on yeah. So it's at the end of, I have it right here, actually. June 28th.
Perfect.
Right. There we go. Yeah.
June 28th. So keep those dates in mind. I want to remind everyone that if you want to check your voter registration status, register to vote, you can go to headcount.org. Once again, that is headcount.org. Check your status, pledge to vote, and register to vote. All right, Maya, how can people, learn more about you, learn more about your campaign, donate, support, follow you, and just keep up with what you're doing?
You all can go to elect Maya, electmaya.com. And pretty easy website. And you can also go to my social media handle, which is on the bottom there, which is at Maya Contreras. .com. So you can see that on the top there. That's on Twitter. That's on Instagram. It's also for Facebook as well. And you can donate at electmaya.com if you're so interested. Every dollar counts. A lot of people that support me are struggling with poverty and lack of economic opportunity. And I say, first of all, please volunteer to help me get on the ballot. Because if you don't have any money, I don't want to take your money if you don't have money. If you have $1 to spare, please, I will take that dollar off your hands. But volunteering to me counts just as much as money to me, to be honest, and I'm petitioning. That's why I'm in my sweatshirt and my hat, because I'm about to go out and petition right now with a woman named Joycelyn Taylor. She actually ran for mayor in New York City. And so she's going to petition with me in Long Island City today, which is very nice.
Awesome. Well, I wish you luck on that. And thank you so much for joining me today.
Of course. I really appreciate it.
Such a pleasure. Of course, certainly. And I wish you the best of luck on your campaign.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Bye, everybody.
And so those watching, please follow Team Racine Productions at Team Racine on all forms of social media. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. But most of all, thank you for watching. Bye, everyone.